Alright, this is my 1993 Ford Mustang LX. It's got about 75,000 miles. The motor was stock, so I got this trick flow top end kit stage 1. Comes with the heads, cam, upper and lower intake, 1.6 roller rockers here, which look pretty nice. So anyway, I got it all installed. All the lashes adjusted on the rockers, and I just got the timing case cover on and got the water pump on, and then I got the balancer on. So I'll just show you how I did that. I started it off with a longer bolt instead of the stock one. So I had some washers here. I have 3 washers, and then I used the other washer that's on it now on the stock bolt, which is on the crank now. So I had 4 washers, so I was able to put that in to get it started. So I ran it down some, and you see I've got the 15/16 socket on here, and I used this pipe wrench to just hold it, and it was actually holding it up against this canister, so it worked pretty good. So I was just cranking this down, you know, and I got it on about halfway. So then I ran the bolt out, and then I put the stock bolt in. So I'll just show you here. I'm just going to back it up. So now, let's see, right? Went a little too far. But I'm right there at top dead center on cylinder number 1, which is right here, and you can see that the lifters are down, so that's on compression, or rather firing right there. That's number 1 cylinder, the forward on the passenger side. So anyway, I got that all set, and I hooked up this oil pressure gauge, just a cheap Harbor Freight thing. So this is the stock oil pressure sending unit that goes to your dashboard gauge. So I've got a drill on here. The drill is set to counterclockwise, and I'm going to run the drill, and I'm going to put it on the oil pressure gauge here. So it's all pumped up now because I had run the drill some, so I've got all oil coming out of all the roller rockers there, you know, coming up to the push rods. So if I turn this drill on, I'm going to see pretty quickly that it's going to come up to about 50, 52. It's on the outer scale, the red. So I'm going to hit this on now, and here we go. So, boom, there it came up, about 50. The drill is getting weak. So now I'm spinning the oil pump in there, and it's going to be coming out here. I'm not going to really run it too long, but I just thought that was kind of neat. Now it goes back down, boom, hit it again, and there's the oil pressure. So what I'm going to do, because I don't have 3 arms that are 4 feet long each, after I stop this, I'm going to crank the engine. I'm just going to turn it by hand, and I'm going to run the drill so I get all oil throughout everything. So it goes through all the bearings, because you got to turn it. So the bottom one on the crank there, you turn it twice because the cam turns half speed. So if you go through 2 revolutions, that's 1 whole firing cycle, and it'll stop back on the number 1 cylinder. So anyway, that's where this is at now. So now I can start to put this condenser back, get the radiator back, get all the accessories on the front, and I'm going to start to work on the intake. This is the stock lower intake. I have the new lower intake in the other room. But anyway, this car, when I bought it, it had an automatic. So now you can see I've converted it to a 5-speed, or rather swapped the 5-speed in there. I just did a whole lot of reading online, and it's pretty straightforward. I mean, there's, you know, a bunch of little things that come up. But alright, so this is the automatic. that I pulled out of here. So I'm trying to unload this thing, and I've got, you know, the drive shaft and the what is it, the transmission, the brace or the bracket, whatever holds it up, because I bought a whole kit to swap it. But I figured, you know, I had the automatic, and the overdrive started slipping on me one day. So I had it rebuilt a couple years ago, and then like 2 years later the thing started slipping again. And it cost me like $2,000 to have the thing rebuilt the first time, and after it happened again, I said, you know what, the hell with this automatic. I'm gonna make this car like I always wanted it and put a 5-speed in. So that's what I did. But I still have to finish up the interior because I didn't finish any of that out. But on the tunnel, you can't see it, but I put the tunnel mount, which is really the right way to do it, which is under that shift bezel. You rivet it in there. It's like 80 or $100, and that'll mount everything up good. So I put a whole lot of sealant under it, and then I riveted it all in place. So anyway, what else? Back over the summer, I put these BBK long tubes in it, and they're nice. The only thing is you have to lift the motor up a little bit to get them to fit. So I did that, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put back my regular shorty BBK headers, and because if I have to pull the heads off or anything again, I'll just be able to lift the exhaust header right out without any problem, without having to jack it up and everything. But if everything works and I get it, you know, running right, and if it all works out well, you know, then I'll put the long tubes in. But for now, I'm just going to leave it. And one thing I want to show you here, these are the two fuel injector lines here. One is the supply, and one is the return. But anyway, you can see right here it has a bracket, and this bracket, the stock setup is there's a bolt with a stud, which is what Ford uses from the factory. So the kit I bought came with these ARP bolts, but they don't have a stud there. So, you know, I asked a couple people what they did, and just said, you know, leave it off, leave the bracket off. So what I'm going to do is just going to try and get this bracket off of these lines altogether. And I'll just show you. I think I have. This is the bolt. This is that lower head bolt there. So you can see this part goes into the water jacket. You can see the sealant here from the original Ford factory installation, because this goes into the cooling passage, because the bottom bolts, the bottom head bolts aren't into blind holes. They go into the water jacket. So now that fuel injector bracket was just sitting right on top of here with the nut. So that's one little thing. And also on these valve covers, you can see one right there. Right, and here are the valve cover holes. They don't have. They give you these little cap head screws, these little Allen screws, but the stock setup has studs coming out of two of them, because that's what secures your ignition. Those little plastic brackets that hold the ignition wires. So I'm going to clean these up and put these back in. There's two per side. So these are the two studs there. I mean the bolt with the stud, and then the other ones are just regular. So I think I'm just going to use that, because I want to put those little brackets on my ignition lines, and then they'll just mount up to everything right there. So I just thought this was neat with the pump here, the oil pump, the pressure, so you could see it's all dripping down. And on this side it's getting a little bit high, got a high tide there. And what happens is here, see that's the oil return hole, and it's coming up pretty high right in here, so I'm just going to squish a little of it, push a little of it down in there, because I guess the angle of the car is sitting in whatever. So then I can run the drill again without it, you know, flooding over. So I'm gonna do this one more time just for kicks. Here we go. Boom, oil pressure. So yeah, let's see it. Start seeing it come out. Yep, there it is. So that goes right into your oil pump, and then the distributor runs off of that. So anyway, yeah, here's the water pump, and I got all new ARP bolts. I got the whole set, so those are all new, and the water pump is new. So I guess I can get this thing off of here. I'm done with that, and I brightened up my timing marks. When I'd last run the car, I had it set at, I think it was at 12, or maybe I bumped it up to 14. I think the stock setting is 10 or 12. Might be 12, but I bumped it up to 14, I think. I don't know, 10, 12, or 12 to 14, whichever it was, I forget. But anyway, hope I'll get this thing running.